them is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! A bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Suffering produces perseverance. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. It is May the 5th, 2016. You know what? Everything you hear on media, everything you hear on these reality shows, or whatever form of communication is, you hear all these big things that are going on in the world, and you know, so-and-so got bombed, or this crazy thing happened, or that crazy thing happened. But you know what? All life is just either you by yourself or you interacting with other people. That's it. And when you interact with those other people, how are you going to treat them? Try to treat them how you want to be treated. Don't try to screw with people. That's what the government does to us. They screw with us. And that's not how I want to be treated. And I'm going to raise my voice and say that. But at the same time, I try to at least live my daily life best I can. I'm not, Lord knows. Nobody's perfect here. But just daily interactions with people. Just, hey, be nice to people. That's it. Blah, blah. Let's bring in Kevin Knight, our co-host, Kevin.
What's up? What's up?
Kevin.
Good to be back with you, fellas.
And sound director extraordinaire, Mr. Shannon Madden.
What's up?
The dude.
Bring it.
These nuts is what's up.
Oh, none of that.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, we're going to turn.
So is he going to be president? Nope.
No.
He will not be president.
At this rate,
I don't know. It looks like
it'll just make him more qualified.
Yeah. D's Nuts is definitely a candidate that's never let me down. Ever. Vermin Supreme still running.
Outlasted Ted Cruz.
Yeah, he did. Another naughty child down the chocolate river.
Okay.
Bless his heart.
In all honesty, though, who thought he was going to drop out of the race? Like, for real.
I sure did.
Nobody saw that coming.
not
when he dropped out. Everybody thought this was going to go to Cleveland. Everybody thought this was going to be some huge broker deal.
What interesting
and
story.
then within 24 hours, Kasich's gone. Cruz is gone.
Interesting story came out about Ted Cruz's daddy.
That's true.
Less than 24 hours before he dropped out.
First off, that story had actually been out a while.
Yeah.
But it had just...
Trump actually mentioned
it, and it made the National Enquirer picked it up, and it was a cover of the National Enquirer.
No, wait a second.
And Trump mentioned it.
Okay, Trump mentioned because of National Enquirer, not right. Okay. Gotcha.
How did he make it this far into this election without that at least coming up? But, the thing is that Trump has been the only mainstream candidate, except for, the... Rand Paul, who has discussed, matters of 9/11 and redacted 28 pages and things like that. I don't know. I mean, are we seeing something new in the current political climate as far as there being just this little sprinkling here and there of some of these quote unquote what we used to call conspiracy theories that are actually now fact? I don't know. That's a really strange dynamic, and that's one of the dynamics in this particular election that has puzzled me, because we haven't seen much of that in quite some time. As far as serious contenders for the president of the United States, actually, I don't know, talking about some of the stuff that we talk about privately that nobody's talking about at all.
Well, they definitely did it to themselves. They really did. The federal government, with their shenanigans, they just opened up the door to more, for more people to distrust them and to call BS. To the extent that even some things that probably have no nefarious qualities whatsoever get blown up and taken ridiculously out of perspective and out of proportion because of the lack of trust that people have for the government.
And you know what? That lack of trust, I still have a nagging fear in the back of my head that Trump is just, part of the clique 100%. And this was, I know how to get whoever we want elected and put in charge. You just go out there and say all this crazy stuff, and they'll be like, finally.
Nobody.
Finally.
Well, he's not really gotten enough of the people that are what they call
Alex Jones has a large audience.
We'll disagree with that.
Alex Jones is now a predominantly Trump audience. So
hard to disagree with that too.
I'm telling you, Trump has reached out to these people like that. He's reached out to the WWE. He's reached out to the Alex Jones crowd.
He's gone to every group.
He
has stuck his
middle finger up at Fox News, the establishment of conservative.
Except for that part,
conservative media. He went to InfoWars.
Except for that part, he did what Rand Paul tried to do. But Donald has done it way more successfully.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start the night early. Let's say phone call, area code 347. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, SM Gibson. Tell us your name, where you're calling from tonight.
Hello. We can hear you.
Hello.
What's going on?
Looks like we lost the caller. That's okay.
You can call back.
Yeah.
We're here.
So anyway, talking about Trump.
Do we have to?
Is the inside? But is he? Is it the establishment play? Is it just? Are we getting? Have they figured this out? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
Well, I think
I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying that, but I'm at least asking the question.
When the general election debates begin to unfold, and we see even Hillary kind of trying to cash in on a little bit of that whole, quote unquote tinfoil hat talk. Then we'll know exactly what you just said, that the jig is up.
Because
that's exactly, they're just going to go ahead and throw, because we already know she's a pandering whore anyways.
Sure, but nobody wants to.
Oh man, this mic's on. Sorry about that.
But nobody wants Donald Trump to be president.
Hot sauce, anyone?
I mean, there are people that do. I know there are people that do.
It certainly disrupts the order and establishment they have at the moment. It'll still be the establishment when he gets in, but there's going to be definitely a little bit of shakeup. But there always is a shakeup.
Or did you see the story come out of the RNC saying that if you're not going to be down with Trump, then you can go ahead and pack your bags and get out?
That's what the RNC
next Wednesday,
said?
yeah.
You know what's funny?
For real, I gave them a day.
Back up.
Or they had to be out by last Wednesday or yesterday.
Who did this?
It was tweeted out. I'll find it.
The RNC told people that are already members of the Republican Party?
Yeah, there's a story. We've got a story actually going up tomorrow on the antimedia.org about it. When we have Claire on later, I think she's right now.
Who was this aimed at?
Let me find it. That's why we're writing the story.
Okay, gotcha. The reason I say that because I know how you feel about the next subject, but the Libertarian Party had an article go up in Washington Examiner and another place, I think like a subsidy of Bloomberg, had mentioned that the Libertarian Party's membership request applications had doubled overnight. The moment that Ted Cruz dropped out, literally within hours, that only had Libertarian Party philosophy and the NAP and such gone viral. Governor Johnson's name, Gary Johnson, of course, name was trending on Google. But then the Libertarian Party's membership applications exploded. So it's right after that Cruz, and it made me curious to see if maybe that threat from Reince Priebus was possibly to more of some of the establishment in the RNC who still are adamant that they're not going to vote for Trump.
Well, and I also wonder how many of the butthurt Bernie supporters, the Zombernies, that have already pledged what an evil, horrible person that Hillary Clinton is, and there's no way in hell that they're going to vote for her. I think you're going to have a lot more people are going to sit this one out.
Certainly.
Well,
but a lot of people are going to vote.
Then again, yeah, there is that, and a lot of those people are still going to go out. You're going to see a lot of protest votes this year.
There are. I don't like Gary Johnson. I don't like him.
Why, did he cheat you at cards or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't.
He does look like a card cheat.
Something about him.
I don't blame you. A lot of libertarians are pissed off at him after his comments in the debates about the cake. Of course, for a lot of us, we're kind of biting our
I don't want to get into it, but Peterson made him look like an idiot.
Hey, man, Peterson's good at speaking.
At trolling.
Sure. For trolling.
But, so anyways, I found I pulled up the tweet here. It's Sherry Jacobus, if I'm pronouncing that right. She's one of these faces you would recognize that you see, but you wouldn't ever know her name. The tweet says, some staff at the RNC were told Wednesday if they were unable to get behind Trump, they should leave by end of the week. And she's GOP consultant, TV pundit, wrote for The Guardian, The Hill, ran campaigns, Capitol Hill, RNC.
So she's pretty well entrenched.
Right, yeah. So, but it sounds, too, like she's probably one of these never Trump people, and she's just throwing a fit. So who knows? But either way, it looks like they're clearing the way.
Well, I mean, and again, to be fair,
they're clearing the way for Trump.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's been done for half a minute.
It's been done, but they're clearing the way all the way.
Ted could have stuck around at least and tried to make it interesting till the end, but...
yeah, why would he do... I mean, is that not so strange?
I don't think that was a decision he made.
I listened to some commentary.
He knew that morning he was out.
Yeah.
Because he went off. And
I think that's why he went off, because
he knew that was
he wasn't ready to give it up yet, but he was told by some higher ups he might.
He knew. Ted Cruz ain't a fool. He knew he was done.
He's planning on running in 2020, so you think maybe this is why he went ahead and dropped out.
He's going to run again.
Rather than piss people off if the press is for.
Well, what are they going to do if there's 4 years of President Daddy? There's not going to be Ted Cruz running for nothing.
No, the fact
he thinks he's going to. He actually said that in a speech, I believe, that he was going to make sure that he won.
Well,
I think he's counting on.
You're
people
right, because this is different.
Yeah,
I could see him running against him.
Yeah, well, I mean, people are going to. He's expecting Trump to be such a disaster. Who knows? Trump may even go far left when he gets into office, further left.
Oh, did y'all hear?
You mean like the Democrat that he was for years and years and years?
Exactly.
He hired. Let me pull this story up. What I saw. I think he is kind of going in that direction. Let's see, where did it go here?
The left doesn't want a wall. They want free stuff. Yes. You're making a motion to me. There's something going on over
language.
Here.
Anyway.
Hey, I think there's... I'm sorry. Well, you're supposed to hold up a sign or something. Technical difficulties or...
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, all right. Welcome to Anti-Media. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. Cecil Gibson is
raised the black flag
over there as the sound director tonight.
I am.
Kevin's sitting on my lap.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to pull all this stuff up. I'm doing 14 different things at once.
You're doing the whole... Yeah. We're just going to sit over here just talk and just
chill.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
So how's Shania Twain doing? Kevin?
She's good. I dropped the kids off the other night.
Eileen.
Said hello to her while Just briefly, it was raining, so I really didn't have a long, much time to chat.
If anybody has a free moment, you can go and check on Reddit. I can't remember where it was posted at, but there's a picture. Someone has photoshopped a picture of Kevin with his first wife. Shania.
Actually, it's my face on the body of another female.
No, that's actually really
Wow.
that's a really nice picture of you.
That's my skinny frame, yes, but those are not my breasts.
So, which bathroom are you allowed to wear, or excuse me, use?
Whichever damn one I want.
Okay, there you go. That's the way it is. Not in some states. You can at Target. But you ain't gonna pull that shit at the Piggly Wiggly, that's for sure.
All right, here. I'm so sick of this computer.
Do it.
So what we're talking about here
is nothing.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, apparently.
Stephen Ruth, red light rubber camera rubber.
Is apparently nothing.
What'd you find for us, man?
Say what?
What'd you find for us over there?
No.
You're going to have to finance to get a new computer. We needed a GoFundMe to get you a new computer because I ain't paying for it.
Yeah, we should do something like that. Anyways, what I wanted to bring up earlier was Trump named the hedge fund manager as national finance chairman, but not just any hedge fund manager. He's actually a guy that's given twice as much money to Democrats, and he has deep ties to the Democratic Party, including working for George Soros.
Who is
I
this?
know that guy.
This is not Peter Thiel, is it?
It is Steve Mnuchin.
Munchin. That's a heck of a name.
I know I'm mispronouncing that because it's Mnuchin.
Munchin.
Steve Mnuchin, huh?
Yeah.
Munchin. I like it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I know whatever. I butchered it, but you know what? Learn how to put a vowel in,
That's something you can munching on.
Can we spell that? Can we get a spelling?
Yeah, Mnuchin.
M-N-U-C-H-I-N.
Yeah.
This has got to be the worst show we've ever done.
No,
Really.
whatever. It's great.
I mean, yeah. I can see people at home, they're, playing their
It's doing fantastic. It's
reaching
doing great.
over towards the...
But anyway. So,
Let's see what happens. Is that going to make a lot of air? How many people are going to even pay attention to that?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody is. It seems like something Bernie Sanders could throw around.
Oh, definitely. Well, could Hillary throw it around when she gets to be
she can't do anything about the banks. What is she going to mention about the banks? There's nothing
no, not
she
about
can
the
mention
banks.
about
I mean,
the
just
banks.
the absurdity of Donald Trump talking about, because he's going to go after her, the Democrat Party, and yet he's going to be working with a longtime Democratic operative, so to speak. That'd be one way that she can obviously point out the hypocrisy in him, because he's certainly going to go after her for a number of things. What else is she going to do?
Vince Foster, anyone?
Exactly. What else has she got to really go after him that we've not already heard from? It's the expected attacks on businesses and various stuff that he's known for. What new is there going to possibly be that she goes after him for?
Yeah, I mean,
tax returns maybe?
well, it looks like the heat's it's getting hot on her with this FBI business, and whether that turns anything or not, I don't think anybody really thinks it will.
It's got to be putting pressure on her.
It had something.
Surely.
Even if a deal's been, I don't know what they're doing. Are they really going after
Judge Knapp?
I don't think so.
Judge Knapp said they've got 154 FBI agents working on
That's
this.
it. You got to remember who we're talking about. People really, actually, genuinely dislike this woman.
Oh, right.
So I don't think everybody's going to cover up for her from here to the end of the time.
At 154 agents, the FBI doesn't just gather up that many agents to investigate a case that they don't. They usually know.
Yeah, that's like Zodiac killer numbers.
Right? Yeah.
Seriously,
they know a case, an issue has been created, a crime has been committed. They spend the rest of the time building the case around it. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing now. They obviously, if they're working on it, they probably know enough at this point where she could easily be prosecuted. But they're going to continue to build this case.
We know enough that she could be easily prosecuted.
They're pulling a Larry Langford on this for sure. They're going to go in with over 100 charges or whatever they're going to have.
And just load it up.
And you're going to sit there and smile and Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, if
the whole pile
here's the thing. If you really throw charges at her, you can't just have some piddly little charge because that's a waste of time.
A ton of it's going to be
yeah,
dropped.
Yeah.
So if they come with it, they're going to have to come with it hard. And I don't believe she is going to be protected like people think, because I don't think people like her. People certainly, nobody wants that woman to be president. People inside the Democratic Party do not want that woman to be president. Nobody wants her to be president.
No.
Now, is she a better than Trump? Maybe to some people. But is she anybody's first choice? No, she's not. Outside herself.
I think even those that are voting for her, most of them are really gritting their tongue and biting, and pinching their nose to vote for her.
And then think about how much of the support, too, I think is, media generated.
Oh, of course.
And how many times has this conversation been had? How many Bernie supporters are everywhere? Think about when there's a brawl at a Trump rally. They're Bernie people. There are no Hillary people.
Yeah, she's got so few people showing up actually to her speeches.
To her events.
And Bernie's packing them out.
Yeah, there's thousands of people. Trump tonight, there were thousands of people at some place in West Virginia.
28,000 to be exact. Yeah. Well, not
who was
exact,
that for?
That was for Trump.
For Trump, West Virginia.
But Bernie's
West
getting
Virginians
huge
love
crowds.
that Trump.
But Hillary's not getting that. Nobody cares about her. They're telling us she's winning.
She prefers more private affairs.
Right, exactly.
The $400,000 a plate luncheon that only 20 people show up to. But hey,
they've got as much money as everybody in the other room
quantity,
combined.
It's about quality. Yeah.
That's basically Hillary Clinton's campaign. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. And she's telling you that you are not quality.
More about equality. Let's put a woman in the White House. And look, I'm all for a woman being in the White House.
Look. I'm not going to have that conversation about her. She has nothing to... Hillary Clinton, there is no argument.
To hang her hat on. It's like when she gets swung into a corner, that's the one
that
thing
is the most
that she'll pop out
irrelevant conversation.
It's true.
Who cares?
Well, exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is the fact that at every twist and turn that she's been given, she does pop that one out really quick, and
nobody cares what she says.
Because, history and change is what brought Obama into office.
Well, first off, everybody's, gotten a piece of that and said, oh, wait, you bombed 8 countries. Maybe you were a politician, just like every other politician.
And then they voted him back in office for another 4 years.
Well, Mitt Romney.
Well,
horrible.
Right. I mean, again,
tell me
that goes back
Mitt
to the
Romney,
show. That goes back to the show, man.
That
goes back to the show.
That Mitt Romney is worse than Donald Trump as the GOP candidate. Remember, they were getting up Mitt Romney's ass about the fact that he was disconnected from voters because he was too wealthy.
What does it matter? I don't want either one. Who cares? Yeah. And that's the thing here. It's not this crazy, anarchist overthrow the government. Just, give me somebody that's not a complete crook. Give me somebody that's not a scumbag.
At least put the brakes on what's going on.
Therein lies the problem. Because you're not going to be able to put hardly anybody in there that's going to be completely incorruptible because there's just so much corruption.
Sure, of
that's
course.
Going to wash up at their feet the moment they walk into the door.
Because they're all thugs. Yeah. Or puppets, one or the other. Mm-hmm.
Well, interestingly enough, now Reddit, I think you mentioned Reddit a few minutes ago, there's a subreddit for Donald Trump. And apparently there's a poll was held who would Reddit fans like to see as Donald Trump's VP. And so far, the winner appears to be none other than Rand Paul.
Well, that's never going to happen. I don't know, man.
Oh, we got some dreamers on Reddit.
I don't even know. Like, what world would we be living in?
Who has he even suggested who he would pick?
I have heard that theory. I don't know if you remember, we've talked about that. I did not come up with that theory. I have heard that theory.
Have we heard?
People believe it.
Has Donald Trump suggested anybody?
No.
Yet? Roger Stone claims that
he may have, but not.
He has
knowledge.
mildly, subliminally suggested Chris Christie early on.
Well, that's no. That ain't gonna happen.
That may have just been a little bit of grandstanding.
Jeff Sessions right now is, I think, the front runner, but whatever. That's just all speculation.
That's out of all of your available choices. That's your closest Dick Cheney.
You could sit here and I think throw that around all night.
Warhorse goes. Yeah. I don't know.
Of course, I'm sure you guys saw that Roger Stone claims that at this point he thinks that Judge Napolitano is probably Trump's number one pick to replace Scalia.
If that's true, if that's a real true thing, I would support that. I mean, how would you not?
Oh, right, definitely.
How could you not support that? Do you believe that?
That's
Roger Stone going on
as soon as
Alex
I see what's
Jones.
I'll believe that
people to vote for Trump.
As soon as I see those 28 pages, I'll believe it. Sure, I'll believe anything at that point.
Well, if they come out right now,
there is candy in that van after all.
If they come out right now, that's going to have nothing to do with Trump.
There is no candy in that van.
Now, Trump will take credit for it because he mentioned it first, but it's whatever. Because you're talking about something everybody's known for the past 15 years. Right. So, I would give... We'll see. I don't know if they'll ever come out. And if they do, they'll be so redacted it won't matter. So I think that's a moot point. So I don't know. I think Roger Stone's on there to get votes. That's what I
certainly.
think.
That's obviously what he's doing.
But
what good would that do? I mean, is that to put hope in potential voters that are not? I mean, obviously, Alex Jones, we think at this point that most of them are going for Trump already. Is he trying to get additional votes out of Trump supporters that maybe listen to Jones's show? I mean, what would be his reason?
I think he's wrapped that audience up.
You think he's just trying to grab them and keep them and keep their curiosity and their engagement?
Well, and I will say that I have been rather surprised to see not a lot, but some what I consider to be liberty-minded folks that have quietly kind of snuck up on the bandwagon. Of course, I don't, just simply due to the fact that he's kind of shook the GOP up in such a fashion that people are now realizing and waking up to the fact that how rigged our election system really is.
No, I think they're already going back to sleep. I think they're already going back to sleep because they're going to cut this deal and they're going to get to that convention and everything's going to go smooth. Everybody's going to forget the chaos.
Kumbaya. They're going to concentrate on beating the Democrats.
That's it.
But, I mean, are all the rural areas going to beat out the metropolis? Because,
Trump's going to win them both.
You're crazy.
Watch.
What have you been smoking tonight? Look at your shirt.
Unicorns.
Listen, he will. Seriously. He will. There's a whole inner city thing going on with, you got people like, Big Daddy Milo, and there's a hip culture. I'm telling you, he'll win both.
I don't know about that.
Oh, what's his face?
I believe it.
What's his face? The guy that did Vice.
There's plenty of guys that did Vice.
No, started it.
Shane Colburn?
No, the other one.
Shane Smith?
I don't know.
Middle Eastern guy?
No. Gosh, Canadian.
Anyways, what about him?
Gavin McInnes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
What's about him?
So, he's a big Trump guy like that. Like,
Is he really?
It's just, this kind of hip. Hip, kind of. What I saw, yeah. I stopped following him a while back.
But then again, a vote against Trump
what do I know?
Is a vote for Hillary. So, now is a great time to consider a third-party vote, protest vote, or my favorite choice, not voting at all.
But, you can sit here. We're not going to solve the vote or not vote debate tonight. I think that's just going to be a personal thing.
No, I'm just throwing all those options out on the table.
And
give them equal weight, because I'm going to tell you the two ass clowns that are left standing right now. No, I don't want.
Well, of course, nobody wants.
President.
People need to listen. This goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show, I believe. People need to deal with the life in front of them. And they need to think of the stories that they hear on TV as other people's lives that are just being in front of, they have to live. If that makes any sense. Because when you're talking about dropping these bombs or whatever crazy thing somebody's talking about, these are real people. Okay? There's consequences for these stories on the news. These are real people's lives, real people getting hurt. And it's unnecessary. And people are blind to it. And they're paying all their tax dollars, and it's funding it. They don't care.
That should make you sick to your stomach.
They don't care, because to them it's this huge, grand, thing. And yet, it's not. It's just people making decisions going, we need to go over there and do this. Like, okay, and think about what's going on in the Middle East and how they have fooled people, because you get, well, Saddam Hussein was a bad man. Still to this day, you hear that.
And he was. I mean, he was not any kind of good guy. I mean, he gassed the Kurds, but he was not.
But it sure is convenient for somebody that Saddam Hussein was such a bad man. And then the next thing you know, Gaddafi was a really bad man. And now all of a sudden Assad's a really bad man.
Right.
It sure is ironic. All these really bad men sure do live really geographically in the same region.
Definitely.
All these terrible people.
Sitting on a big old pile of oil, uranium, and plutonium.
It's odd how that works. All the bad, evil people just live just in that spot.
Well, and as a result,
a
ton more people have been killed than were ever killed by these dictators while they were in office now. So, and the whole rest of the world's in shambles. It's kicked off, a never-ending global battle now, it seems, between multiple factions. Unfortunately, the U.S., including a number of other governments.
Well, they use the Muslim thing, too. That's the most nonsense. That's ridiculous. They're like, well, all the Muslims.
It's all the Muslims.
Right. I mean, you had somebody like Saddam Hussein who was not a good man whatsoever. Of course he was a bad guy. Nobody's ever going to argue that. Nobody's suggesting otherwise. But guess what? He kept all that stuff at bay.
He did, and so did Gaddafi. In fact, Gaddafi actually warned the West and said that after he's gone, it will be the jihadists that
he kept all of it at bay, and people could kind of live a normal life.
Yeah, well, Christians and Iraqis live next door to each other in Baghdad.
No more. Now I don't know how bad it's gotten in Baghdad right now, but with Mosul, that's just chaos.
All of Iraq is now falling apart. The green zone's being overran. It's we're getting back to square one now.
That's it. And the timing. I just think the timing sure is coincidental. You got Obama leaving office. I mean, they're ramping back up.
Well, they probably.
We've been talking about that on the show for months. That here we go. More. War. They've been leaking out little hints here and there. Just a little press briefing this. We need to do this. We want to do this.
Well, they learned
and they've been given,
time.
That's it.
They learned last time that the people rose up and said, hey, we don't want war in Syria. And what happened? We had supposedly Assad with the chemical weapons attack. And what happened still? The people said, no, we don't want it.
This is all very low key. Mm-hmm. The elections are going on, so there's a huge distraction. Nobody's paying any attention. We just had a Navy SEAL that was killed overseas. I will say that they were talking about that earlier on when I was flipping through the whatever you want to call them channels, the corporate, information outlet.
That the transgender bathroom situation that popped up, wag the dog, something's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, but they actually mentioned the SEAL getting killed, and they weren't. At least the Obama administration didn't seem to be painting it as okay. Well, this guy's gotten killed, so we got to go kill.
Right.
He was like, I'm going to send out letters, blah blah blah, to the families. Pretty low key. I don't think you're going to get that with Hillary. I don't think you're going to get that with Trump. Because Trump would be like, oh, we'll go get them. They killed one of ours. We'll get them all. And Hillary, this is what I think Hillary would do in that situation. A dead soldier, wait, okay, hold on a second. Remember how y'all got all upset with me over Benghazi? I'm so sorry about that. There's a dead soldier, and we will make up for this.
That's exactly
and they
what
will
I was going to say.
drag us in.
It's exactly what I was going to say. She has a lot of ground to make up. She's going to try and prove that she's
war.
She's G.I. Jane. Yeah, that she's going to take care of it. You're right. Absolutely right. She's probably more dangerous. Definitely more dangerous.
Foreign policy, she is by far the most dangerous candidate.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a devoted globalist, too.
And she's been in the top 3 or 4 when there were 17 other people running.
Always has been. Her name's always right there at the front of the line, surely.
Mm-hmm. She is a war hawk, make no mistake about it. What was the meme going around, why vote for a candidate that only promises to kill innocent families when you can vote for a candidate who has a proven track record of it? Speaking of Trump and Hillary. I mean, Secretary of State,
her name's on it.
You better believe it. So, everybody knows what Hillary's about, and it's just a big show. And people allow the show to control, the decisions in their life, and it's not that serious. It's not. And the thing that is serious is the fact that these people are allowing all these things that take place. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep harping on it. And I hate to beat a dead horse, but
do it, man.
We're occupying. Okay, we have military bases in over 100 countries. I'm sorry, but that needs to be addressed. Like, more than addressed. That needs to be sorted out.
And the U.S. on top of that, we are paying for that.
Well, of course we're paying for it.
As opposed to, but we claim that we're also providing security for other countries, which you would normally...
That's an empire.
Right, which you would normally expect the other countries to put part of the bill, which, interestingly enough, that's one of the things that Donald Trump's been really harping about, is that NATO is too big, that it no longer serves a purpose in today's society, and it needs to go away. And the U.S. needs, at minimum, to quit footing the bill for it. So, hey... It goes back to the question, who's you want the man that you think might could kill millions, or the one that has already got their name signed to it? I listen to rhetoric from both of them, and I know who definitely sounds more like the anti-war candidate. He's not, of course.
No, and you can't believe a single thing that's what amazes me.
Again, that's the one thing he's been consistent on. Even when he was on stage in the debates, even to the possible backlash from the American people when he was kind of getting on, what's his name, Bush Jr., when he was explaining to him that even his father knew, the White House knew about, before 9/11, that they knew about potential attacks when he referred to that memo. But he reminded everybody, and he still reminds people that he was against the war in Iraq from the very beginning. So...
Well, he's acting like now we're just going to go over there and clean it up and get it fixed and come on.
In Iraq, of course. Well, that's campaign Donald,
sure.
Of course.
We're just going to go in there, swoop it up, and that'll be that.
In and out.
Problem solved. Right. Mm-hmm. You know how that's always
Don't worry about
out.
specifics. We'll handle it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, when was the last time, first off, any campaign promise has taken place? Obama kicked out, I ended the Iraq war. First off, we never left advisors, that whole argument. They didn't leave. They just changed the name of it. Changed the paperwork around.
Well, he promised he would end the debt a few days ago, or a couple weeks ago.
Anyways, he ended the Iraq war, right? What we just got done talking about? They're going right back to it.
Right back.
Yeah, sure he did. So, I don't know what Trump... I don't care what he says. And why in the world are so many people going around saying, I don't trust, I don't trust, I don't trust. They're all liars. But that guy's telling the truth. I don't understand that mentality, personally.
They've bought into the idea that he's not a politician, which he's not a politician.
Like, why is he telling the truth? Like, what makes... Like, that's a genuine question I have for Trump supporters. Why? Is he telling you the truth?
They've bought into it, man. He speaks on a fourth grade level to people, and he makes you want to believe him. Who doesn't want to believe him? I know we don't, but when he talks about some of the things like NATO and some of
I would love to believe him on some of that crap.
Well, some
of it I sure would never, ever want to happen.
I think we're seeing some of what happened when Obama first run. You have a lot of people who've never been into politics that are grabbing onto something for the very first time, that are getting caught up in this, that don't know yet not to trust these son of bitches. That it's going to get worse.
And I mean, the great debate of, is he even going to build the wall? You know,
he could come out and explain to everybody that it would be a national security hazard to do so, and I guarantee you,
and that's his biggest.
He could
we build this
people,
wall; it's just not safe.
Right.
That's his biggest thing.
If we have the flood, if it somehow floods half the United States, we have to have the water be able to escape. So it would definitely be against our national. We need a way for the water to. I'm telling you, he could literally convince anybody that wall would need to come down, and people would be lining up to agree with him.
Yeah, people would follow whatever he said. Well, it was, again, the guy that was talking to Ted Cruz. What one thing do you like about Trump? Everything.
Don't let facts get in the way.
Yeah, that's what I like about him. Everything. And then when forced, he said, of course, the wall. Because that's the only
thing that people recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that
they don't know what they like about him. They don't know what they like about him. They really don't. There are some people maybe in his camp. I don't know. Does anybody?
It was the same thing with Barack Obama.
You can find anything you want to like about him because he's been on every position. So you can find a position you do like.
Absolutely.
There is a Donald Trump for you. If you're in the market for Donald Trump, there is a Donald Trump for you.
And you don't believe it, go on YouTube.
Right. We can package him however you need him to be.
You need to show your aunt. You need to show your aunt why she should vote for him. And you need to show your uncle who believes the opposite. Guess what? You can get them both on his side. Just show them the YouTube videos.
Y'all need to really go check, if you have not done so already.
I have.
Check out Roy Wood Jr.'s Black Trump on the Daily Show. Roy Wood Jr., full disclosure, is a Birmingham native.
And a good one at that.
A very good one. Has had a radio show here for years. Has also appeared on Last Comic Standing for a few years and placed really well there. He is just a funny dude. But man, if you haven't seen that yet, it's prepare to get slayed. That's all I'm going to tell you. Black Trump, and it's funny because again, it's basically, if you haven't seen it yet, because I'm sure a lot of people have. If you haven't seen it yet, it's basically him dressed up, kind of doing a rap video, and the rap that he's doing is comprised of actual Trump quotes, and it's funny because as the video goes along, it has subtitles and basically has the date and when he said the quote. It is hilarious. And I didn't know that he said that Heidi Klum is no longer a 10. Sadly, is no longer a 10.
I have not seen that. I'll make a point to do it.
You need to. It is hilarious.
So, I think
there's even a black Trump as far as all the different Trumps. I mean, there's even a black
there's a Trump for anything. Whatever Trump you want. And Hillary Clinton, too, for the most part.
Hot sauce, anyone?
I bet you I could piece together a Hillary Clinton that any policies you wanted, I bet you I could put it together where she would support it.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
We should do that. We should start, and it may already exist. Who's got their phone? Are there YouTube videos of candidates debating themselves?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think we've seen a lot of that we've seen from Trump. There's been a few of them. I think Stephen Colbert did one.
Yeah, you're right. I have seen those. Well,
it was a great original idea that only 4 other people have come up with. We should all do it. We should do it a better one, though.
Yeah, that is.
I've not seen one from Hillary.
Oh, and I know you could do one with Hillary.
Oh, for sure.
Unquestionable. Here's the only, the problem that you have with attacking candidates is it kind of makes the other person, look better in some people's eyes, even though they're not. But it helps the other person, I guess, somehow. But really, they're just both terrible, and here's some
One of the things, too, they run into is that when they attack the other candidate, which one of them does not have something else in their closet that can be brought up?
That's so they go, so they say that's the argument with Trump. There's nothing else because he's told everybody everything.
Oh, no, I don't believe that. Do you?
I don't either.
There's no telling.
I don't know if I don't believe. I don't think it's true.
You think we'll see any actions?
The rape allegation? I'm sure that's not true.
Talking about his wife, his ex-wife?
No. The 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, we talked about this last
we
broadcast.
mentioned that.
You still haven't heard this story?
You mentioned it briefly earlier.
Naughty business.
All right, we got a few minutes here. We're coming up here on the second half of the hour. I want to remind everybody real quick, too. We're live on www.ucy.tv/TAMR every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. You can catch all of our replays by searching for Anti-Media Radio or SM Gibson, or I guess that's it on YouTube.
Yeah, you don't look for me. If you look for me on YouTube, the first thing that pops you up is some video that some Irish children did. It says "Fuck you, Shannon Madden." So, I thought that was
I had a hand in that. Just kidding.
This was before I knew you. No, there wasn't a YouTube when I first met you.
Okay, so the juicy gossip on Donald Trump and the lawsuit. The lawsuit claims that with Jeffrey Epstein raped this girl 4 times over like a 3-month period. She was
4 times.
And if this was true, we don't mean to.
She was basically like a
We don't mean to demean it by any means.
Please,
rape
please,
is
please,
absolutely horrible.
Please, yes.
Yeah.
Let me.
Especially when you're talking about underage.
I know
people,
it's because of who we're talking about, and it's just like the situation. Like if it's true, like it's just nuts.
Yeah, it's
like
horrible. Well, no,
the worst of the worst of the worst.
And yeah, that's
like it's beyond the worst. Like he should be under the prison.
Oh, definitely. And no sane, reasonable person listening to this program right now is actually going to take us
right
anyway than what we are
right.
For,
okay,
so.
I'm not going to sit here and.
Yeah, I don't think.
But
you
you're
have to
right.
defend us, but yeah, we understand.
So anyway, this girl claims to have been raped 4 times over like this 3-month period. But it was their sex slave. The last one, pretty graphic. The story, I'll find it, and I'm going to stick it up on the comments in between on the break for the show, and stick it in the comments in the Facebook section. But it's interesting the language of the lawsuit, and it is in the story. So all 6 pages of it.
The timing it seems rather auspicious, of course.
It does, and I think that's why it's kind of like, really?
Yeah.
Did he do this?
Right.
And it's like, I'm no fan of Trump. And it wouldn't even shock me if it was true.
Again, but that's a pretty horrible accusation to make against someone if it isn't true.
It really, I just don't think much of that. I could be wrong, but I don't think.
A lot of these people
I just don't think that.
A lot of people like Trump are for this particular reason, they always have somebody with them so that they can't be put in this position where they're accused of doing that. And he never goes anywhere by himself.
I'll say this for Trump. Hey, I'll say this for him. It wasn't even it wasn't a story yet. Like it hadn't even been reported.
He shot it down.
Oh, and he was in front of it. You know how people it's like some crazy things. They're never addressed in stories ever.
He gets off and heads it off at the
pass,
it's
the second it hit the internet, boom, denied.
Yeah, that's smart.
Like the first person who wrote a story, they responded to it. So that's the end of that. Nobody's ever going to question it, but it's so crazy. It is.
It's wild.
Is that true? Is Donald Trump a rapist? Because that's what we're talking about here. So it's kind of a relevant conversation. Do you believe Donald Trump's a rapist?
Not that they're the same thing, but would you have believed that Rush Limbaugh was, knowing all what he spoke about how much he hated drugs and drug users, would you believe, or would you be surprised?
People are hypocrites.
When he found out about
people are hypocrites. No matter, look, that's human nature, and people love to pigeonhole these. oh, the right's hypocrites or the left
Of course,
are hypocrites or the so-and-sos or the so-and-sos because everybody needs a label.
And everybody fits nice into one of these little rigid groups.
Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a label. They're not just a person. Got to label them. And look how they are. Mm-hmm. That group of people with that label on them, look how they behave. I don't like them.
Or you don't behave like me, so you must be this label.
What a joke. Yeah. And what's so really funny is you get so many of these people that are just like, you get that a lot with the countries. Well, we shouldn't be patriotic, but at the same time, like, I hate all those people on the right. It's like you realize you're doing the exact same thing.
That was y'all last week when I used the word patriotic.
I don't like that word.
And when I called old Cecil here out
don't like
Trump
it.
Supporter.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Yeah, you are a Trump supporter.
Yeah, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
But yeah, I don't like the word patriotism because what it is something to use to get people to go die for something that they probably shouldn't be doing. That's why it's, it doesn't matter what country you're talking about. It's a tool to pull on people's emotions to get them to go die for somebody else's whims.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
So that's why it's nothing against,
I understand. But you're saying, you pointed out, though, again, too, and I hate that we have to get back into this, but it's a tool. Much like religion, much like anything
of
that
course
exists, it can be used. But I don't think we should necessarily blame the subject for it being used. But again,
correct.
we have a different. I'm not using it. My view is a little bit different. My patriotism hates the government, of course, and cares for the people of the country. But yeah, you're right. Country. It is often used as a tool to destroy country, murder people, and and ostracize people that are not like you. And collectively, as Doug Stanhope says, claim victory for things such as defeating Hitler when obviously nobody in your generation did so. Interesting take, Doug.
Oh, we got Osama bin Laden. What are you talking about, man? That's a real story.
It is.
There's pictures of him.
There's a whole movie about it, man.
Ask Seymour Hersh. He'll tell us.
And then
it's a shame that his work is not outlined enough. 1,000 pages went into this book covering this situation with Osama bin Laden and the supposed killing of this award-winning journalist. And how much did you hear about this?
Oh, and he's just saying the whole thing's made up.
Yeah, right. And a number of other things. Even, he's one of the few people that is mentioning the supposed tapes of as horrible as it sounds, of young boys being raped in Guantanamo Bay by,
I believe there's the stories you hear coming out of that.
Oh, I know.
The stories you hear coming out of some of these prisons and stuff.
Well, some of the stories
we've reported on them on these very stories.
And stories coming out from people that participated or were actually in there with these people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets me when you speak to guards and handlers.
In front of their own mothers in some cases.
Kids.
Yeah, it's horrible. Nasty business.
And it just makes you shudder. It's just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, this is the world we live in?
It's our government. Our government. It's incredible. It's just incredible.
It's our government, but you know what? It's China's government. It's Britain's government. It's Mexico's government. It's every government. It's all power concentrated in the hands of the state, and it always will be.
Yeah.
And even so-called private companies that do this stuff too, that are backed up with money and with funds by the government, by industry, by the government. This is what you get when you empower a state to do such things. You don't necessarily get the best people running such an organization.
No, you don't at all.
Very true. Very true.
So, only time's going to tell where we're going to go, what we're going to see.
To hell in a handbasket is what it looks like from the current field of choices. Either gonorrhea on this side or syphilis on this side. Which one do I want worse?
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I think I've Lou Rockwell and Walter Block, two really well-known libertarian types. They started Libertarians for Trump, and I bring that up because they, like Bernie fans, there's a lot of different overlapping philosophies that are crossing over right now. And a lot of people are being accused of supporting people that they don't and for seeing through some of the stuff when they shouldn't, or vice versa. But it's interesting that, the country seems to, we've been at war in this country since basically its founding. And I think of all the people running right now that actually have a chance, Trump sounds like the least of the warmongers. And knowing that
but what does that mean?
Well, the state grows when we have war, and I think if we're going to have either of the two.
But you already know that the state's going to grow under Trump.
Oh, certainly. Oh, but only at the that's a given. But only, I guess what it concerns me is the rate of it. Knowing that we're on that type.
I think
of slope.
you believe the state's going to grow bigger.
Oh, it's
faster under Trump.
There's a paradox, and I forget the name of it, but it goes basically to show that when the economy grows, unfortunately, the state grows at the same time, because there's more tax money from industry that state uses to turn around and to lend out and to exploit when the economy, of course, does better. So there's a paradox there that we kind of have to deal with, and certainly, the state grows, and with war, the state grows just as much. They've got to have industry and more money and print more money and of course, civil liberties die at the same time. So if we can minimize even that whatsoever, then we have a tendency to see at least civil liberties.
What we saw really is Reagan build up the military. Mm-hmm. And relatively, Reagan was involved in some stuff. But compared to what we've seen since George Bush got in office, we were relatively at peace historically compared to what we've seen. And builds it. And then from that moment on, use it.
Well, even Bill Clinton, when he was in office.
Sure, Bill Clinton used it. And people don't remember that.
Right.
Because he was in Kosovo and Somalia.
Oh, well, that's the thing. These DART projects, I think people would be extremely surprised when they think about, hey, we know about this war here and this war here, but, you've seen some of the list of places that we have troops.
The day of Columbine, he dropped the most bombs, I think, of his 8 years in office.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Because they had the media cover-up.
And that's the people with the things we know about. Can you imagine the ones we don't know about? How many more additional places that we're involved in war? Blowback.
Oh, there's no telling.
No, certainly not. How many others that we actually back that may not be Americans?
And then think about how many instances of the private contractors that it's not technically the U.S. government.
Well, I'm sure you know the School of Latin Americas, the U.S. funded, where all these dictators, these these South American dictators have come out and they've been trained by U.S. forces. And what's sad is that's entities of the U.S. federal government, and that does not represent the American people, but we get not only blamed for it. I say we, but the citizenry gets blamed for it.
Well, you get that with everything.
Yeah, you do.
Go blow up Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really, did those people do anything to you?
Right. Yeah. Even some of your Christians that are some violent supporters, and like, man, these are fellow Christians you're talking about over there, Chief.
Well, they don't care. They hear.
Well, I think a lot of them never actually been presented with that idea.
They don't think that. They don't look. First off, they're a person. I don't care what religion they are.
Oh, right, I agree.
I could care less.
No, right, I agree.
They're a person.
Completely.
But either way,
it drives home the hypocrisy of it.
We'll hit the top stories and more here on the second hour of the show. For Anti-Media Radio, I am S.M. Gibson. Welcome back to Hour 2 of Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, S.M. Gibson. Joining in studio with our co-host, Kevin Nye. What's going on, Kevin?
What's up? Good to be back. Second hour.
Second hour of the show. Make sure to always join us. We are, 9 p.m.?
It's
I think giving the wrong
time
out.
9 Central.
Yeah. It's 10 p.m. Eastern.
Word.
Yeah. So it's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Tuesday and Thursday.
2 hours finally, up from 1 for however long.
Yeah, I'm a moron. That's okay. So yeah, no Shane this hour, but that's cool.
It happens, man.
So yeah, we've got, I hate to keep harping on the elections, but we're really going to see some implications with the Middle East. One thing that's going on in the Middle East right now is we're starting to see airstrikes over Gaza. We've seen right now the most violence we've seen since 2014. And geez Louise, 2000, that really bothered me.
Yeah.
That whole situation.
Messy.
And people were just excusing it. It's infuriating. And hopefully we don't see a repeat of that. But there are right now currently airstrikes in Gaza once again from the Israeli government.
Never forget, this all started over a lie, too.
And, oh, yeah, of
the
course.
First one and the second one. The first, first Gulf War and this one.
Well, what started the 2014 business was a lie with the 3 kids being kidnapped. And
oh, right. Of course, from Gaza.
But also, you've got the situation where are they going to create a lie now to drag us? Which, Hillary is definitely going to support more bombing.
When is she not?
Undoubtedly. Whatever. I don't even want to talk to this about the theater of it. Who I do want to talk to, though, is our wonderful journalist, Miss Claire Burnish. Claire, how are you doing?
I'm doing fairly well. How are you?
Can't complain. And also, I'm going to go ahead and grab a caller, too, while we're at it. Area code 636. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight. Looks like we lost the call, but that's okay. We've got the best caller we could have.
We do.
Claire, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really tired. For some reason, it seems as if it's been a long week and it's not even over yet.
It's not over yet. So has it finally settled in that Cleveland's not going to at least kick off like we thought?
Yeah, that's starting to settle in, and I'm still kind of reeling, I guess, from the idea of people are going to be choosing between most likely Hillary and Trump. That's very surreal.
It is. I don't think most people would have ever believed that we would have seen Donald Trump. It's crazy. And people support this man.
It is, but you know what's crazy, though, is Hillary, okay, she's under criminal investigation now. They announced this week that the investigation is not just like a security breach sort of investigation. It's actually a criminal investigation now. And then you have, I don't even know how to pronounce this hacker's name, but he's from Romania, Guccifer, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And he said, or he claims at least, that he was able to breach her email really fairly easily. Like, he's not actually a hacker. He's just kind of he's a guy with some common sense and some stick-to-itiveness. And so he got in her email, and he said that he saw at least 10 other people from around the world in the same email when he was in there a couple times. And, he was in prison in Romania he was serving a 7-year sentence, and suddenly, he's pretty much a moot point because he's obviously not hacking anybody, and he's in prison. And suddenly the U.S. extradites him, and here he is right outside Washington, D.C. in prison, and right at the time when Hillary's investigation goes criminal. I mean, it just seems like something might happen with that.
So, is Hillary even going to make it, and she even going to get the nomination?
I don't know. That's really the issue here. It kind of depends on how far the establishment wants to push the establishment paradigm. Like, will they push it so far that they will allow her to be the nominee, or will they say, you know what, we've kind of, like, this is kind of ridiculous, and she really deserves to be charged criminally, and Bernie is obviously popular with the people, so maybe we should just go ahead and indict her. I mean, it's kind of it's an interesting open question.
Well, think of the cultural narrative here, that we live in a society where supposedly all these people are wanting as our next president someone that is, we all know, a criminal.
Right.
Who doesn't at this point?
Right. Right, but that's so typical, though. I mean, think about the crimes and stuff that goes on with people in office, even at the level of the presidency. So this really isn't all that atypical. It's just that it's more glaring this time because of when it happened, because of the timing with it being like the actual race to the presidency and stuff, because she's not actually in that office. I think that's the only difference here. Maybe.
I think she wants to get in office. It reminds me of Lyndon Johnson, who was going to get in a lot of trouble. It appears.
She's trying to save her ass.
It appeared that he was not going to be vice president in 1964. He was not going to be on the ticket, and that he could have been facing a lot of problems. And of course, he becomes president, and that all goes away. And that's forgotten with history. And I think Hillary's run for the presidency reminds me of that a little bit. I feel like she thinks if she can just get there, if she can just make it, she can deal with it.
Well, I might agree with you normally, but I think that this particular election and all its insanity and chaos, it might be a different story. Like normally actually winning the office would make people kind of forget about the high crimes and misdemeanors, but if she gets office this time with all of the popular support towards anti-establishment candidates going elsewhere, if she makes it to office and then they charge her, I think it might actually be worse. And I think that's what they're actually contemplating, which is why they upped their investigation to a criminal one this time.
Well, I don't believe she's going to be president under any circumstances anyway.
I don't either. I used to think so, but I don't.
And you do, Claire.
I did, but I'm beginning to wonder. Like, after I wrote an article for a Free Thought Project about this, about the emails and the hacker and all this stuff, And I'm looking at the information even more and more, and I'm just, I really have to wonder. Like, it would almost be, I don't know. I think that might be a bigger mistake not to charge her before they attempted to make her nominee. So I think that really, I hate to say it, but I almost see a Trump presidency at this point.
Well, yeah, I've gone back and forth, but in my gut,
oh yeah,
I've
definitely.
known it. It was just what will they try to do to stop him? That's where my confusion comes into it. As far as the will of the people,
if he could be stopped, he would be stopped.
That's it. Look, the majority of Americans are the guy going everything. What do you like about Trump? Name one thing. Everything. That's the majority of Americans. Unfortunately, they don't know who they're voting for. They don't care who they're voting for. They know they like his personality.
Well, and
he's take care of business, and he's rich.
Well, they know a lot of these other guys that are running for office are crooks, also,
and they are, and he says it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And at least Donald's got he's went out and made his money. The way he's made his money,
but that doesn't make him anybody's savior just because he's pointing out the obvious.
Oh, certainly not. Certainly not. But when you've got to pick from between, unfortunately, if you're playing that game, if you feel like you've got to pick,
that's why he's so dangerous, because he's the one calling them out, which means he can get away with doing anything, which he's doing. Think about some of the crazy stuff he said, and he's gotten away with saying it.
I have a kind of a thing here. This is my issue with where I'm not really sure what the outcome is going to be. So we're looking at, obviously, this is kind of a big battle between the establishment versus these kind of countercultural, if you will, candidates. And we're looking at, obviously, a criminal who's trying to get into office at the same time. But she's the establishment candidate. There was a big shakeup with Cruz and Kasich dropping out. But I think the battle going on in, like, the behind-the-scenes political theater right now is trying to balance the idea of putting somebody who's either a loose cannon or unacceptable to the paradigm into office versus, like, what will be the rebellion of the people? Like, how bad will it be if the people rebel against who they put in office? I think that's really the debate right now, because obviously they can pretty much install whomever they want.
Because if they put Hillary in office and she goes to jail, then
who's next?
Oh, it's going to be
right.
Oh, yeah.
But if Trump gets in, it might be equally bad on, like, another segment of the population. I mean,
I believe
each of the candidates, I think they're weighing the popular repercussions here.
Okay, I've never had this thought before, so whatever. I could see Donald Trump, if Hillary Clinton became president and she got indicted, I could see him somehow trying to become president once she gets indicted.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's beyond imagination.
Mm-hmm. A lawsuit, something. I could see him doing it.
But if you look at...
She was ineligible, he should be the president.
Oh, he probably would at least try.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what would it
hurt?
What would it hurt on
another election, something.
Oh, he'll claim that the American people backed him up, and he only did this because the American people demanded that he do it.
Mm-hmm. He would do it.
But the thing is, if they indict her and bring her up on charges and she's unable to run anymore, like, if it comes down to, Trump versus Bernie, on the other hand, I almost wonder if they're weighing the options between Trump and Bernie, because Bernie actually has more popular support, like, at least in polls.
Okay, here's what I think. You're looking at it as they're going to back. I don't think they're backing who can win. I think they're backing who will help go with the agenda. And Bernie's not going to go.
I disagree. I think they've abandoned that. I think that they're not looking for the agenda anymore. I think they're looking for the candidate with the least possible repercussions in the long run. And it doesn't have to do with the establishment. It more has to do with, like, disruption in the country.
And but I think Bernie will go along with the big stuff, the war. I think they could twist his arm pretty good on that and just, show him some papers. Bernie's old, you got to remember.
Right.
And to say, some bad stuff's happened, Bernie. We need to do something bad. Okay, just take care of it. I could see that, Bernie just going with it. He backed down from the Fed bill with Ron. He's known to kind of back away. He's voted for it before. He's already insinuated what he's for the kill list. He's already said. So I could see him going with Bernie.
For killing, that's Bernie, excuse me.
Yeah.
And Syria.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe Bernie is the guy. What choice do they have?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they really have a choice. I mean, Bernie's not he's more of a pushover than Trump would likely be because Trump is such a loose cannon, but at the same time,
Is he? I don't know. Is it a show?
No. It was in the beginning, but I've said this 100 times. No matter what it was that he started out as, now that he has this crazy fanatical support base, he feeds off of that. So if he throws out some loose idea because he kind of has that whole loose lips thing, if he throws out some crazy idea and suddenly everybody stands behind it, he's like, oh, well, that was a good idea. I should just go with that. So, he could say well, I'm going to nuke Canada. And if his supporters were like, hey, yeah, do that, he'd probably go for it.
And
that's where I think,
And that's where my real fear of the election has been, is where we're moving culturally, what people are supporting here, because that's when stuff happens. If you can convince a bunch of people some crazy thing, then that crazy thing's going to happen.
You hear that, Canadians? We're coming for y'all.
Poor Canadians. It's like the South Park movie. I don't know what we're going to do, but unfortunately, it looks like I believe we are going to have a Trump presidency, but that goes back to Claire. We've talked about it so many times. I said at the beginning of the broadcast, it's all about the people you interact with in your daily life. All this business. Look, when you come across somebody, that's it. Your life is you're alone and you're interacting. Period. When you interact, do it with love. Is that so hard? Is that hard, Claire?
No, it really shouldn't be. It's the only thing that keeps people from interacting that way is fear. And fear is really lack of exposure and lack of understanding, and in a lot of cases it's a refusal to understand.
It is, and that's something that the history of the world has dealt with, and we're seeing the likes of Donald Trump because of fear. We've seen everything that we've seen go on in the Middle East because of fear. All these things happen because of fear. That's the tool they use. They use corporate media to shove fear down your face. That's all you hear. Be scared, be scared, be scared. But don't worry, we're here to take care of you. We're going to make sure everything's okay. You may lose a few of your rights along the way.
And your children will be enslaved by debt, along with you.
By debt, that is correct.
But you'll be safe when you go to sleep at night.
And when you go to the airport, we may have to grope your grandmother in the wheelchair. But that's just to keep everybody safe, too. Don't worry about it. We love you. We're your government. We're here to protect you. That's what they want people to think. But sorry, that's not the way it goes.
No, it's not. Fear is like one of the most base instincts that we have. It's survival. I mean, fear is how we evolved. Fear is how we actually came to where we are. So of course it's easy to manipulate. I mean, you're talking about somebody's most basic instinct of all, and if you grab hold of that and you manipulate it, of course it's just easy to make people bend to your whim.
And I think it's important that people are aware that this fear is being generated to get people to react a certain way for somebody else's bidding. Allow us to do this. Allow us to do this. Allow us to do this. Like, that's crazy. How is that helping? Whatever nut thing you're doing, how's that helping anybody? Politicians. They're the scum of the earth. They are. Sorry. I believe it. I'll always believe it. I think they're the most selfish, arrogant, scum of the earth people.
They are. There's probably, what, can you count on your hand? How many that genuinely care?
There's a few that are okay. I'm not going to say 100% because, like everything,
Right.
there's always a few.
Right, but we understand that. So I don't think you're wrong when you say that they're all scumbag, because they are. We'll understand.
I mean, honestly, I hate because I sit here and go, don't label. These people all chose this profession. Their arrogance and their egos and their God complex directed them to a path that even if they weren't corrupt before, once the money got shoved in their face, it happened. They sold out.
Now, right?
It's there now. So we've been sold. We've been sold. And I'm sorry, but Donald Trump ain't the savior to fix it. And how people believe it, is beyond me. This man's upset. He sacrificed doing seasons of Apprentice for this, people. He had better things to be doing, but he loves you. So when he says nuke Canada, just go with it.
You know what? I saw an interesting interview he was in when he was much younger, when he was asked about would he run for office. You know, he's given several of those type of interviews, and he basically said, no, I don't think I would ever run for office, but he did. He spoke out about a couple of issues he had, and I was genuinely surprised at listening to him speak, and that he was adamant that he did not want to run, that he thought basically the politicians, he agreed with us basically that they are scum, but that he saw a lot of the things that they're doing as far as, and I think he really concentrated on foreign policy and the wars and such. So, you know, it makes me question why, it's one thing that I could see why he ran for office, and I thought it was just to boost his ego and put it down on his resume. But now that it looks like he's going to be the president, I mean,
but as Shannon would say, there's no candy in that van.
Well, you know, he stands to lose a lot of. I think it'd be safe to say that if the country, I guess this is me looking for the candy for a moment, hypothetically speaking, but he only stands to benefit by the U.S. benefiting. Would you imagine what a damage and ding it would be?
There is no candy in
But do you know what it would be? What kind of ding it would be to his ego if after 8 years the U.S. Has the same kind of stuff happen that Barack Obama happened, that the progress that he's gotten us and the so-called progress in the last 8 years, you know how embarrassed that Donald Trump would be? I mean, that would make him, compared to everything else, I would think he would see himself as a failure.
You're wrong. You're so wrong. Let me tell you why I believe you're wrong.
Let's hear.
Donald Trump's spin on things in the next 4 years is going to be, look how I fixed it. Now, whether he fixes
Barack
it or
Obama
not,
does the same thing, but we all know that
Donald
that's BS.
Trump, but Donald Trump is on a different political playing field than Barack Obama or Bill Clinton before him or anybody we've ever seen that was considered a quote-unquote great politician. Donald Trump is mowing politicians down. Rubio gone.
Oh,
the Bush is gone.
Certainly.
He's mowed them down.
Certainly.
So we're talking about a different beast here. So when he comes out and spins these, tales of everything's great, look how I fixed it, and the campaign slogan this time is going to be "Keep America Great,"
which is a play off of Reagan's.
Mm-hmm. Which he's probably going to do. The people are going to buy it because they're buying it right now. And he said it. Who knows what he believes? He said everything. So, treat those around you right. So, Claire, what other stories have you seen that have really grabbed your attention?
So much. At this point, it's even hard to. I really feel, I've mentioned this before, I don't even remember what night, I feel almost like I've become scatterbrained because there's so much going on everywhere right now. It is hard to keep focused on anything at all. And, I mean, I think that a really pertinent issue is the fact that we are, for no apparent reason, building up military, like very strong military, all along the border with Russia. If that were done to the U.S., we would already be at war with whoever was doing it. So the fact that Russia has shown so much restraint so far, I think, is almost laudable. And I'm really not sure what it is that we're trying to provoke or why we're doing that when there are so many other military theaters that we're involved in, particularly in the Middle East. I think that needs to be talked about more.
Well, and then you alluded to on Tuesday's program, Kevin, that we're now got our eyes set on what areas in just the East. Where were you talking about?
Oh, just that we brought up Richard Haas being named, or Trump naming him as his foreign policy advisor. Haas being the president's CFR. Yeah, he's spoke out a few times in Foreign Policy magazine. Other magazine is it's pushing the idea of getting involved and confronting China more and actually doing less in the Middle East. So that's the CFR's angle.
And Trump's got him as a pal, an advisor.
Well, and you've heard,
and Trump's already been very inflammatory about China.
Oh, definitely, China.
So yeah, let's go start another war before we finish the other 15 we're in.
Well, he's concentrated mostly on financial, and economically.
Well, if you screw with somebody's economics enough, guess what? That's how wars start.
Oh, certainly.
So, yeah, Claire. I mean, do you think that this is really going to be something that could be kicking off in the near future on the Russian border? I mean, do you think Putin would allow it to go there with this trend?
No, I don't know that it's. I don't know that will actually be a spark for anything necessarily, but it's noteworthy enough that we're actually building up so heavily along there. I mean, there are reports also that we're going to have more troops than the entire armies of all the EU combined in the EU. And, the reason put forth by people who have analyzed such things is Russia. So, why are we bothering so heavily with Russia? I mean, there has to be something else going on, and there's all the traditional Cold War stuff that is obviously lingering and has for some time.
Well, they bother with everything else.
Yeah, but I mean, this is really unusual. Like, it's not really a back and forth thing. Like, where in the Cold War it was kind of like a back and forth standoff sort of situation, which is why it was called the Cold War in the first place. I mean, this is kind of like U.S. aggression under the guise of Russian aggression, which makes no sense. And apart from the Middle East, our interests with Russia really don't make sense.
Well,
like the pipeline and everything makes sense, and the Russian involvement there, that makes sense. But anywhere else, it doesn't really compute. And I'm trying to figure out why that is, and I haven't been able to find much on that.
I think it's worth mentioning, although I don't think it's very high probability, but it's been in the past few months I've seen little whispers here and there about a coup, so to speak, within Russia. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to be told. We're kind of limited to a lot of what goes on in Russian inner politics, but it makes me wonder if maybe they don't foresee something happening there, or even it makes me wonder about the potential relationship between Trump and Putin. Would Trump be more likely to be as to show a show of good gratitude to take the arms down if in fact the U.S. does control that? It'd be a great way for Putin for Trump to come into the presidency and try to make good relations with Russia. I don't think I think he probably does prefer to be friends with Russia.
I think Kim and Putin are going to pal around together.
Yeah, I certainly do think so.
I disagree, actually. I disagree. I could see that. I think that if we weren't already building troops up and building the military up and doing all this posturing, I think that might be feasible. But I think that, like we talked about before with Trump, he's likely more to go along with anything that's presented to him, and if it's already in place when he gets in office.
But see, here's the thing. Putin is a status thing. Russia is a status thing because of the Cold War, because they were the bad guy for so long. They were Cobra, they were the Death Star.
Cobra Kai.
And it's this, I just think he would make good relations and be buddies with Putin to parade it around politically. Look at me. Look at me. I get along with him.
I'm healing the world.
I get along with him so well. We're such good friends.
Well, it'd be a good idea, really. I mean, who could argue against that?
Yeah,
that really would be good.
I think Trump could be bombing every other country in the world while he does that, but he will be parading that around as look at me. And it will all be for the image of it. That's my personal belief.
Image or not, I think you're probably pretty accurate, but I tend to agree with you. But in this sense, but I think it would be a good thing. Whatever it takes to keep both countries from being in war, it's hard to argue.
I don't disagree. But it is not good that they're building up along the borders there. That's a situation. It's just idiotic.
Is it a threat? I mean, what exactly? I mean, I don't see the U.S. has no benefit to being engaging in a nuclear war.
Exactly.
Or war. Why? I mean, what do we have to win?
That's kind of that's what I'm wondering here. It's like we're obviously missing something very, very significant, and I have not been able to figure out what that is yet. And it's difficult because we don't exactly have a true free press here, so we're limited by what it is that we can actually get our hands on. And I've been trying to figure out what it is that we could possibly be wanting because, like I said, our involvement with Russia in the Middle East makes sense because of the oil and the resources and stuff like that. Like, that makes sense. But everywhere else along the Russian border where we're building up does not necessarily make sense. So there has to be something we're missing.
Well, I mean, it's definitely interesting. What we need to do is we need to have Justin King on sometime. Because he knows.
Fifth column, smart guy.
He is. He knows quite a bit about that area. He also speaks Russian.
I heard.
So, yeah, we should have him on. Because that's a very interesting topic. Oh, so, Claire, what ever came of the RNC teaming up and telling people they're gonna be out of a job if they don't.
Oh, that's right.
Back Trump.
Yeah. So there's a lot of conflicting reports because the Times came out on Wednesday, I believe, and said basically the staffers at the RNC who weren't going to stand behind Trump might as well just get out. Like, they basically needed to quit and resign and leave if they weren't going to support Trump. But, then that person, Sherry, I forgot it, Jacobin, I think, or something. I can't even think right now. She's like a Republican consultant and stuff, and she kind of just retweeted the Times article, and then that she fell under heavy criticism, and so did the Times. And the RNC comes out and says, that is 100% not true. We would never say that. That's just a bunch of BS. But it looks like from staffers that spoke to at least one outlet that it's entirely feasible that they did say that. They would never admit to it. And the problem is that they need people to stand behind their candidate because the whole purpose of, these parties is to get the candidate from their party into office no matter who it is. So it's not only feasible, it's likely that they did say that, and they're just trying to do damage control by saying, no, we would never say that.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the party, though, is people behind that candidate, and he's the only one left. So it does make sense, and it sounds to me like it's the people that are, coming out and saying this, look what they're doing, it's the never, ever Trump people. But they have, of course, they want to see Marco Rubio or some garbage.
Yeah, but they also, they have a point because, and this brings up the whole idea of third parties and anti-establishment candidates again. Trump is more like a Democrat than a Republican, just like Hillary is more like a Republican than a Democrat. So
certainly,
there's a different kind of feeling about Trump within the party, like because he does not hold true to the paradigm that they espouse, then it's really difficult for people who are just kind of on the staffing level to jump behind that and be like, oh, okay, I'll put my name behind that. So it all makes sense that they would have said you need to get out if you're not going to support him, but it also makes sense that people would be jumping ship just for that reason.
Oh, I think that's the thing with this election. It all makes sense because it doesn't make sense.
I think you're right. Excuse me. I think a few of those people are doing right that have not signed on to the Trump bandwagon. And one thing I thought was, I don't know if you guys saw, but Trump keeps referencing our very own Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions, who's been really tough on immigration issue. Well, it was only 2 or 3 days later after Trump first came out and Sessions gave an endorsement that it turns out that Trump had basically turned around and gone back on what he had said, his immigration pledges. Actually, I agree with his immigration pledges, at least I think his latest rendition.
What, Trump?
Way. Yeah, well, no, again, his latest rendition. Now, to my understanding, and that's where we get into, because he's since
You're
came out.
You're pretty liberal in immigration, so.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's come out and spoke about. I'm pretty reasonable on immigration.
So wait, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's actually come out now and basically said, "Hey, we're not rounding people up," and that he's not necessarily for amnesty, but he's not. I forget what is exactly the words.
How do you go from "we're building the wall"?
Oh, I know.
To I'm not really for amnesty, but
he's talking about the ones here. Yeah, the ones here. He doesn't want to call it amnesty. Is what
I was going to say. I'll tell you who else got behind. People are kind of lining up on who to agree with and which candidate to agree with now. Now that like the party lines are being drawn and they're kind of saying enough is enough. Cameron got behind Trump now. He reversed his stance completely and said, "Oh, Trump's not that bad after all. I may as well back him. Sure, now that he's the candidate."
Oh, 1,000% the deal's been cut. There's no question the deal's been cut.
Well, Trump's probably doing well across the pond with the people.
No, they hate him. They tried to ban him.
Oh, did they really?
Yes, they did.
As a whole country?
No,
I knew about I knew there was a push for it, but I didn't know exactly to what extent.
They debated it in Parliament.
Well, what exactly?
Because there was enough signatures.
But now he's fine. Now that Cameron's like, well, never mind. Just forget about that. He's fine.
They concluded, this is what British Parliament concluded, by the way, was that in British spirit, they would mock him, but in also British spirit of freedom, they would allow him to come in. They would just mock him when he did it.
It seems like a pretty
reasonable.
They
did all these stand-up routines on him, basically, and it was funny.
Like a good,
and they just
that is precious.
Yeah, and they made fun of him. It was kind of funny. Yeah. So, but yeah, Cameron's on board. The deal's been cut. Get ready for it, President Daddy. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Here comes the Trump train. The box cars are coming.
Please no.
Who knows? It may not be. It may be that bad.
It's not. We all thought this about, I say we all. A lot of us thought this about Barack Obama, that it was the end of the world, that we'd see 3 terms.
I think it with all of them.
I know. It's easy to think. It is easy to think that. It really is.
But in the defense of somebody who does think that with all of them, Donald Trump. Like, that's wild. Why shouldn't I be going?
It wouldn't look good on his record if to have put people in concentration camps. It wouldn't look good on his record to have
there wouldn't be concentration camps. What they would be?
No, I'm saying even Civil War. I mean, he really he would only benefit by trying to do better to rebuild what Barack Obama essentially
Let me tell
destroyed.
You the one thing to take away that you can have all the crazy rhetoric and all that nonsense. The one thing to take away from Trump as an enforcer is I think he would intentionally rough up a whole bunch of protesters to show he was in charge.
Probably so, yeah.
Intentionally do it.
And probably give law enforcement a wide range of new authorities.
You better believe it. So,
would you think we'd see more federal control over state police with something that the right kind of pushed back against, the left kind of pushed for? Under a Trump administration, do you think the right or whoever would support him would push for more and allow federal control as an answer if we continue to see,
that's a good question.
outbreaks?
I don't know. I don't know how he would
Interesting to
support.
see how the dynamics.
But he would
change.
definitely be very, very pro law enforcement and the you know what I'm saying. When
Well,
I say
a lot of his
a lot of laws for no reason. Laws.
Certainly. Well, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't disagree with that.
I think he would expand that greatly.
Forgive me for a minute. I was listening to one of his campaign speeches. Promises was echoing in the back of my mind.
And I think the progress made against the drug war, I could be wrong, but I think it would just be gone overnight.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think in this respect, he's big business.
I think he would be similar to a Reagan presidency in a modern era. I think it would be that huge government. I think you would get, for the most part, if you look back historically, there's worse presidents that have bombed more countries, but you weren't perfect either. You gotten some stuff you shouldn't have been getting into, but it could have been worse. I think, again, spending. The military is going to get huge, but I think he'll kind of try to bring them home, which will make the economy grow. And I think the drug war will be ramped up because that'll make the economy grow. And I think that's what Trump's going to do. It's going to be similar to Reagan.
Let's hope not. But
because it's
it could,
boom time, Wall Street time.
Well, one of the
80s.
One of the things I would argue against that is that majority of people, we've talked about the fact that Trump seems to be going with what a lot of the people are demanding, whether or not he leads with a suggestion, and then the polls reflect his kind of leading by, by example or by suggestion. With at least with cannabis legislation, with marijuana legislation, with the laws we're seeing people that need it for medical reasons. Actually, we saw Alabama just pass a piece of legislation which, although it was very, very small, it actually is helpful to a handful of people that were already enrolled in the program. But that being said, I think a lot more people are at least on board with that. So I don't think that, in the way that we're going, federal legislation is leaning towards kind of turning a blind eye to the state's actions in that respect already. So in that respect, I don't see him coming back.
Because the culture's already there.
Exactly. It's already there. Plus, it's a big business. Those states are already, how hypocritical.
If he could figure out a good way to make money from it, I think.
Well, even if he doesn't, he'd have to have a real good reason to go in and interfere with the economy in these states that are doing business like this. I mean, what excuse would he really have to do?
How many states is it really doing that big of an economy? There are a few, of course, but
helping counties and various municipalities.
But
it's
not
growing.
Many
No, you're right. But it's growing. There's more than there were 5 years ago.
There were none 5 years ago.
My point exactly. Yeah, It's heading that way. I don't think the inertia is going to be slowed down at this point. Whether or not he wants to or not, I don't think it will be.
You don't think he'll be able to stop it?
I don't think. I don't think we have an interest in doing so. There's other issues to worry about.
And maybe that's and that's the thing with Donald Trump that's so different, and which makes me more cautious is because with these other politicians, they can say whatever they want. They all have records, and you can look at what they've done, and you know what they're going to do. It doesn't matter what they say, but with Trump, you can't do that. There's nothing to look at. So who knows what would happen? He could do any crazy thing, but he could do good stuff. You don't legitimately know.
No, you don't. There's no record to follow
up. Nothing. No. And that's that's the terrifying part. But what can you do, Claire? What can you do?
Good question.
So, do you think he'll cozy up with Israel and allow for more, let the war ramp up in Gaza? We know Hillary would. I mean, that's not even up for debate on that side.
Yeah, he will.
So, if that gets going again, jeez, that's just the worst. That's the worst situation. Those people are just caged in and just bombs falling.
It's horrible. Vice has a lot of...
Man, sorry about that, fellas, ladies, Miss Claire, Scott. Cecil. Vice has some of the best material that I have seen yet. That is so outrageous of a lot of the fighting going over in the Middle East. Seeing the stuff, man. You see stuff on the
it's so far from the days of seeing the bombs when we declared war on Iraq and the shock and awe, and seeing even in the Gulf War, seeing all the missiles and the light sky over Baghdad lit up, and now with guys that are going in with GoPros and you're seeing firsthand on both ends of the fighting what it looks like over there. It is even seeing the civilians, it is so horrible. It's so easy to forget that that's going on over there, and just on the other side of the world, all these people are living the life that they're going through, and not only there's bad people in line now, but knowing where a lot of that came from, and knowing that your tax dollars have a lot to do with that, it is even more appalling. I think it's horrible. It's a situation, and we're going to have more refugees now. So we're fixing to see a lot more of problems escalating as a result of this. Iraq's falling. It's falling as we speak. So,
and
it comes full circle. Who got us into it?
It's complete full circle, and it's just more needless death. And I hate to. It just sounds so like I get it. Oh, whatever. Let's go peace. These people are dying for no reason. It's insane. What if that was your family?
That's how terrorists are created every day, unfortunately, too.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But everybody just thinks it's hate. They just hate us for no reason. There's just people that instead of living their lives to achieve their dreams, they just walk around going, we're going to kill all the Americans. And there's millions of these people we're supposedly believe. Give me a break. Nobody's doing that.
Right. Well, there's not a handful of individuals that think like that, but there's a handful of individuals in America, in each state, to think about that way about other countries in general also. But you're going to always have a group of crazy people out there that still, compared to actually inflicting pain against the United States, is far in between. I mean, just it's almost, man.
It's just this
war.
That's it, man. And it's a business. It's a business. This is an occupation. This is a way to make a lot of money.
And this is not just us saying this. We've got highly respected individuals in the military that have been there for a long time that are coming out and saying that yes, this is a sham. It's a charade. We've even seen. Don't forget, we've still seen the reports about what's actually coming out, what's actually going on in the battlefield. Reports that by the time we actually hear it, they're actually being manipulated in between here and the White House. And we've seen that already. I think, Claire, you actually covered it for the anti-media here in the past about the reports being rosied up, showing that we're winning the war.
It's going to be hard with the day we live in, like you're talking about, filming the fighting firsthand with GoPros on both sides. It's going to be hard for the propaganda to hold up forever. I think that's, if it wasn't for the technology and for the internet, we would have 1,000% been in war with Syria.
Oh, definitely.
1,000%.
Wesley Clark's 7 countries in 5 years. We probably have all those and then some checked off.
Yep.
Because nobody, like you said, nobody knows it. Nobody's paying attention.
Because they said it was chemical weapons by those guys. It was Assad.
Go down a list.
Yeah, and it turned out it was the rebels, and who funded them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they spin things, and thanks to the internet and people rising up, I just wish people would catch on. This is going to happen with Iraq, and I'm telling you, I'm going to do it, Claire.
Happening as we speak.
What are we going to call it, Claire? What are we going to call the movement?
I don't know yet.
The next Iraq war.
Yeah, I don't know yet. It has to be, I'm not sure yet.
Well, I know we need a Donald Trump meme to go viral. We need Donald Trump to see it. I need Donald Trump to be reminded that he needs to be reminded that we need to stay the hell out of Iraq.
I'm going to go ahead and just go out on a limb here and doubt that Donald Trump's going to see a meme and change his mind about anything.
No, but Donald Trump's been on record speaking about we need to stay out of Iraq. Donald Trump...
He knows what he said, and he don't care.
You don't think? I think he actually generally wants to stay and would prefer to stay out of Iraq.
He probably would. I don't know. That's what he's. I mean, he does say that.
He understands what benefit is. This is not a benefit when we hear and Claire, you brought up something a minute ago. You or season 1 brought up the fighting going on over there in Russia. We see the buildup of arms. That's when we're reminded, when we hear American interests, we need to be reminded of, hey, we should be asking what American interests are benefited. How are we benefited by having all of our all these munitions lined up on the other side of the world, aimed at another country?
And you feel like
Russia.
That's how he's going to approach it, and it's going to be a business deal, and it's not going to be beneficial. So he's going to
because that's the way he spoke about NATO,
it.
Right? Because he's insisted that not only does NATO need to be it's an ancient, outdated system, but that the U.S. should not be footing the bill for all these countries, that we're providing a service and not receiving anything for it. So in that respect, I think it's very quite possible.
But Donald Trump will get in his position of power, and I don't think he's going to start closing down military bases.
No,
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so. No, but it won't be because he didn't. At least those in office and in the circles of power will know what he prefers.
Well, nobody cares what he prefers. There will not be one base closed down.
I'm
nobody's going to care what he thinks, if he prefers or he don't prefer.
I wouldn't say that. Barack Obama's almost closed Guantanamo Bay.
Do
They
you
could just get the House to
believe
fund it.
that Barack Obama in his heart thinks, we should have 100 bases? No,
but I don't think he's probably actually pushed for it. I think he's more pro-war than Trump would be. But
I don't.
But he is literally he's been fighting trying to close Guantanamo Bay.
Trump has already started with, we're going to go in, we're going to take care of business, and we're going to leave. How does that work out?
That's a campaign. That's a campaign.
That's
speech.
it. That's a campaign speech.
But I don't think that's gonna. I don't believe it.
But when you have a politician saying we're going to bomb XYZ, that's a campaign promise. They always deliver on.
They always have. I don't disagree there. But we're hoping that he's a different kind of. If he's going to be there, we're hoping at least a little.
There's no candy in that van.
Oh, come on! Now you were saying something similar earlier. You were open to the idea earlier that maybe that he's less of a warmonger. After all, we've seen.
Maybe he is. I don't know, but there's still no candy in that van.
At this point, I don't think that there's even the will by the American people and others to do, after all that Hillary's, and all the other wars that we've been fought in. The American people don't want it.
The American people go along with what they're told to go along with.
Well, then we need to, as you said, anti-media needs to kick off and revive the Stay Out of Iraq campaign.
I truly
stay out of
believe
Syria.
it. I believe it. I think communication between ourselves, and that's it. That's the power of the internet. We can communicate amongst ourselves now. It's not generated by a few corporations on your television telling you this happened, so now we're going to do this, and you're going to like it.
One of the things that really brought it out to me was a lot of the guys in the service at that time, when the people the last time actually rose up. I think the anti-media, Claire, you may have been the one to pin that article also, but a number of Gibson, I think you actually did one also, an article about the troops that were holding signs up saying they did not join the service to fight for Al-Qaeda or fight in Syria's war or to overthrow Assad. I think that even sent a very powerful message to a lot of people in the civilian world.
I think a lot of troops have been fed up for a while. I mean, I think the one big takeaway from Ron Paul running for president was the fact that all the troops supported him. That was, where he raised all his money. The troops were big time behind Ron Paul. And what was his message? Get out.
Yeah,
of everywhere.
Simple, yeah, right.
And the troops, were like, yes, this is what needs to happen because we don't need to be doing this.
And, of course, he received more campaign donations from military than any other candidate in the race.
So I do think that people inside of the military are fed up. They know that they're wasting their time. They know this is nonsense. And I think they realize that they're working for an empire. And I think most of them are awake to this. of course, you still get, the occasional, I'm going to go over there and kill me some brown people. But,
You'll always have them.
You'll always have that. But I think for the most part, people are waking up around the world. It's just, what do you choose to believe? And I think that's the problem we see with Trump. They're believing something that's some nonsense. Like, it's just crazy because he's not saying nothing. So I think they're going to get screwed. I think they're going to get burnt. But at least people are acknowledging there's a problem.
I agree, but I think it's also a matter of people need to reach their limits in order for anything to really effectively change. It's a matter of, like, people need to decide how much it is that they will tolerate.
Yeah, definitely.
They've put up with a lot.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, they really have. I mean, you think about from the 60s on was what happened with Vietnam, and just the stuff around Vietnam.
Well, it's a long, famous quote to paraphrase that people are they're more likely to slowly to live with being enslaved rather than ever to right the ship ever and step out and do what it takes to right the ship. So it's no surprise. It's just kind of seems like almost the story of mankind for a lot of people is to be content living in slavery, and yet there'll always be this another subgroup of people that are going to resist it.
Well, that's it. People live in stories and things, everything like we were talking earlier, this huge grand thing. It's not. It's just people doing stuff. You want something to change, do it. If you want something to change, just do it.
Be the change. That's
it. Don't expect somebody else to do it. If you think it needs to happen, do it.
Hey, if you think somebody needs to hear a message or the world's having a message, share it.
That's it. But just remember, you come with a spirit of positive change, and not negative and
blizzards are taking over the world.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, the eliminate.
But even I don't think you should come with violence to change. I don't think that's going to solve anything. I think that's the exact opposite. I think that's what we're trying to solve here.
Definitely, that's a good way to find yourself in jail or locked up.
Well, even forget that. Just
or turning a lot of people's
just not the thing to do. Right. I mean, screw getting in trouble for it. You shouldn't do it.
Oh no, certainly not. But just a reminder that can happen as well. It doesn't get you anywhere. Acts of violence. If you've got to use acts of violence to get your opinion out, then obviously your acts are worthless. Your beliefs are worthless.
Yep.
So, any parting words for us, Claire? I only got a couple of minutes here.
I just want everybody to start to study things instead of forming opinions before you know everything.
I agree.
Word.
So, read. Nobody knows anything. I know nothing. I can tell you that. I'll be the first person to tell you that.
Learn every day.
Yeah,
all the time.
I don't know squat. So, we got that going for us. We've got me that knows nothing at the helm of this show. So, with only a couple minutes left, Kevin, any last parting words for us?
In the Fed, and check out Stephen Ruth's Facebook page, aka the Red Light Robin Hood. Stephen is Stephen. New York's Red Light Robin Hood's cut down, I think, cut the wires and done something like 22 red light cameras that he's messed up or made inoperable, and he's facing. Excuse me, he's done a number of them, but he's facing 22 years in prison. He's got some great reasons why. Go check him out.
And we've got it look like a few people calling in right now to the show. Make sure to check us out. Call back on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. For Anti-Media Radio, I am S.N. Gibson, UCY.TV, Anti-Media Radio.
Out in the bed.
Out.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.